We'll see. You think this might be 2-2 in the end? Well... Oh, wait. Can't really read what people are whispering me. Let's see. Game 2. Let's see. So this is the W3 Arena version of Turtle Rock, which means there's no close position. So both players are aware of this, as they've been told in the chat that this is a situation which I guess makes ThomasG a bit more happy. Without the close spawn, this is a better map for Night Elf, but I still would say it's in favor of the Undead. So we'll see if there's some kind of a Tavern Hero build here. But I think ThomasG, like in the past, I'm not too familiar with him, but I'm pretty sure he used to play just like completely standard every game, so he might just be going for the Demon Hunter here. Hopefully we'll see a Tavern build. I think it's pretty cool to see against Undead. But with no close spawn, you're a bit safer to play standard, so playing as the Pink Undead here at the top for Korea, South Korea, we have Believe. And playing here in the bottom right, we have ThomasG playing for Denmark, and he is indeed playing standard. Ancient War, Altar, Moonwell. We could see a Warden, potentially. It's not the worst Warden map. But probably we'll see a Demon Hunter. Meanwhile, same opening from Believe, Crypt Altar, Cigarette. Which means there will be a slightly delayed hero, slightly more ghouls. Probably, I'm not sure if he's going to creep right away this time, because on the last map, there's no way to interrupt the Night Elf creeping, and he's going to get level 1.9. So he's almost level 2 right off the start of the game. But on this map, if you rush right away with Undead, your opponent can hardly be close to level 2. Like he'll have crept the green only. So on this map, I'd say it's a lot better to rush right away with the ghouls than it is to start creeping. We'll see what Believe does. We do see a Demon Hunter from ThomasG, so perhaps my theory is correct that he used to just play standard every game. We do see the Death Knight again from Believe as expected. 2 Ziggurat. Ghoul scouting. The Ghoul actually scouted close spawn, so I guess Believe didn't understand that there was no close spawn possibility. I don't know how good his English is, but I guess he didn't realize.
A player's forces are under attack.
So both players scout each other. They're both seeing that it's just standard again. Same as last map. The Ghoul is positioned so that he can try to steal some creeps. It's difficult to do, but we'll see. Yeah, ThomasG isn't going to allow it. He's just going to make sure the Ghoul is far away. That's what I'm talking about. We have a halfway level Demon Hunter, and there's nothing really to creep right now. And we do see the Death Knight running right away at our grass. So we should probably see a lot of ghouls to follow up. We might see a Death Coil to keep this ghoul alive. But it would be a lot better to pick the Unholy Aura if you're level 1. But it's always a question of whether or not your opponent has Mana Burn. So if ThomasG uses Mana Burn, then Believe will pick the Aura. But if he doesn't use anything, or if he uses Immolation, then Believe will pick Death Coil. So it's kind of a silly situation where both opponents are waiting to find out what their opposing heroes have picked for their first spell. We'll probably see Unholy Aura picked pretty soon. But I believe again is playing very passive. He's probably going to start creeping then, I guess, and get to that level 2. Gauntlet of Strength, Sleepers of Agility, so they're both getting their primary stat buffed up a bit. Meanwhile, ThomasG is just making a bunch of archers. He'll probably stop after this one. 4 is a pretty standard number. Belief's going to do some multitasking here. He's going to run around with the Death Knight while his ghouls and skeletons creep for him. So he will get level 2 from that. But ThomasG senses that something's up. He's running towards the turtles. He won't be there in time to steal the item. Another Gauntlet of Strength. So this is one beefy Death Knight right here. Oh, we do have one creep stolen, which is enough. If you steal just one single creep, you don't get level 2 if you try to creep both of your turtles. So it's kind of frustrating for Believe, I imagine, but... Oh, I believe he's even scouting down here because he's aware of the abuse that Night Elf can do. They can creep this entire camp with just one archer hiding behind another archer. So he's scouting that out, making sure that's nothing's going on. I don't think ThomasG is aware of it, though. It's a fairly new kind of discovery, or however you want to put it. Don't think it was done until fairly recently. I believe he's going to be very aggressive here, going for the turtles. I guess he really just wants to level up to level 2. But one ghoul will... Oh no, nice coil. And a surround, so that's very good multitasking right there. Saving every ghoul. Gonna coil another one. And he completes the surround. Like, this is... Well, one ghoul did die, but that was still very amazing by, I believe. It's a very good micro. Ah, loses... Okay, well, not the best right there, losing the 2 ghouls. But everyone makes mistakes now and then. Those turtles do a lot of damage to ghouls as well. Meanwhile, tier 2 lingering for Believe. He might get Naga second and pressure at tier 2 like he did last game, although he didn't really pressure that much. Yeah, he's doing the exact same thing. Meanwhile, ThomasG doing the same thing as well, getting the Panda, getting the Lures. Gonna start tier 3 any moment now. Meanwhile, Believe is showing up here to creep jack. He does have the frost arrows and he has a dust, so he should be able to kill a lot of archers here. There's no town portal for ThomasG. He had to use it when the Demon Hunter got surrounded, so all these archers are... Oh, he's going for the Panda actually. And there again is no staff. I don't even think there's a shop for ThomasG right now. There isn't. So kind of late getting the shop, but well played by Believe, getting those archers and hero kills. Meanwhile, he's going to tier 3, adding those fiends again. So it's just a repeat of last game, pretty much. Except the early game advantage isn't as big as last game, but it's still pretty big right now. There's the shop. Dryad, first Dryad coming. You should see a ball of magic as well to follow it up. And Bear Adept training. Getting closer and closer to level 3 on the Death Knight. Slaughterhouse on the way, tier 3 almost done. I believe he's quite far ahead in the attack actually. He wasn't as far ahead last game. Oh, very, very risky play here by Believe, stealing the potential level 3 for the Panda. Gets the 2 minor pandas, the minor turtles, and he one-shots the Demon Hunter to keep the school alive. So another good display of micro. It's difficult. It's going to be difficult to micro against these Dryads though, so he wisely backs off. He will try to steal the big turtle somehow, or just delay it as much as he can. Because this is going to be a big deal in the game. If ThomasG gets the experience and he gets a good item, that can be what he needs to stay alive. And the Panda's going to get all the experience, he's going to level up. Scroll the Beast is the worst item actually, so lucky for Believe, but we do still have a level 2 Panda. Level 2 Demon Hunter, so it's Not looking too bad. We have the bears on the way. We have tier 3. Believe again. Getting the Lich. Getting Frenzy. Should be getting the Destroyer upgrade as soon as the statue finishes. He's gonna go for the turtles though. And ThomasG is taking a big risk here. He's going for the red spot. It's pretty smart. He knows he's kind of behind. He knows he needs level 3. And possibly like a good item to stay alive. And the Ogre Mage here drops a AoE healing, which will help out. So he doesn't have to use the Moonwalls. So this is an excellent spot to take. He does lose one archer though. There's a full healing back. We'll see what item he gets. Possibly should have been solo creeping one hero here. Kagos Pipe Insight. It's alright. It's alright. It will get better the longer the game goes, but if there's an all-in, it's just alright, I'd say. It's not as good as Endurance Aura or Unholy Aura, or even like a Immolation Cloak. But if the game drags on, it'll be a great item. And the Greater Healing Potion has not been picked up, I believe. He might hopefully see it. He picks it up with the Cryptine. Cryptines cannot use items, but I guess this guy just wants it. He still has it on his Cryptine. I'm kind of worried that he's picked it up by mistake with the Cryptine.
A player's forces are under attack.
So if this Cryptine dies, it'll drop the potion, and whoever is quick enough to react can pick it up. So it'll be interesting to see. But we do have a heal scroll. We have an orb. We now have level 3 on both heroes for ThomasG, so it's looking good here actually. He doesn't have a town portal, but he's in a good position. He has an invulnerability potion, he has to use it. He can morph one of these bears to rejuke his Death Knight. He's not doing so. He does do so now. Another Breath of Fire coming. Staffs out the bear instead of the panda. Wasn't really aware of the nuke that was coming his way, but he can still stay in this fight. He can still kill all of these units, the ghouls, with the dryads. So 50 food for ThomasG, 3-3 heroes, although one did die. 40 food for Believe, with only 3-2-1 heroes. Panda's on the way back. No upgrades so far, no moonwalls. There's the moonwall. So this is looking bad for Believe, but this is where Turtle Rock kind of starts to become a very good undead map. When you have like a destroyer and an orb, especially if you have a worm, you can just creep the entire map. So I think at this point Believe does not want to end the game at any point. He's just going to creep as much as he can, get good items, and rely on high level heroes and high level items to win the game. ThomasG will do the same thing, but items aren't as important for Night Elf. Neither are hero levels, to be honest. But it's gonna, I believe, become a very long game. So the Brilliant Aura is gonna pay off. And any player who starts getting upgrades early on, as Believe is doing now, will also pay off in the late game. So hopefully ThomasG will start investing into the late game, getting upgrades. And preferably get an expansion. He maybe doesn't realize how stable his position is right now, but he could certainly use an expansion, and it would be easily defendable. So far, we see no expansion. He's maybe a bit afraid since last game, the all-in that hit him, or the timing push that hit him. So maybe he realized, he thinks that the expansion won't pay off. He's expecting the same kind of push, but Believe is staying calm here. He's just creeping, like I said. Turtle Rock's a very good map to just be passive and creep. We have good items already, like the +6 intelligence on Lich, the Greater Healing Potion that was passed to the Death Knight, and even Scroll the Beast isn't that bad. We'll see what happens. Oh, Tome Experience. Oh, and Endurance Aura. So these are like the best items. Definitely should give that to the Lich, the Tome. It does do so, so he's almost level 3. Oh, but Painkiller over here picked up the True Shot Aura. Would have been better for the undead, but still a great item. All those dryads do a bit of extra damage. Archers as well. Still no expansion. We do see upgrades getting queued up. I believe is also queuing up more upgrades, staying 50. Neither player wants to commit here. They don't want to go above 50 for no reason. Still surprised at this point, though, that ThomasG does not put down an expansion. It would be a lifesaver in the late game. Although it isn't, like, it's not 100% necessary. He can move his main eventually, and if they're both just banking at 50 all game, then it's not really that big of an advantage for Undead. A lot of Night Elves will tell you that the Night Elf needs an expansion to survive, but it's not 100% necessary, but we do see one now. It's a bit late, but still, I think worth it. ThomasG's creeping right outside of Believe's main. Meanwhile, Believe is trying to creep something that isn't there. That must be disappointing, so he has to go for these kind of small creeps. Meanwhile, ThomasG is getting the bigger ones. But the map is almost crept now. As I said, Turtle Rock, one of those fun maps where a lot of times we'll just see a lot of creeping, relying on high-level heroes and high-level items. Believe has broken, though. Maybe he senses the expansion. He hasn't scouted yet, but maybe he senses that it's his time to go. ThomasG is broken as well, so he's breaking to defend the expansion, and Believe is breaking to potentially attack an expansion, because he probably doesn't want to attack into these moonwells, although there is no there's no wellspring.
The town is under siege.
So it's not the best defensive position, but still, all those moonwells you don't really want to fight there as Undead. We do see 2-0 upgrades. Is there 3-0 on the way? No, there's not. There is yet another ziggurat, so he's going to go for 70 food.
A player's forces are under attack.
Yes, purely Fiend Destroyer army at this point. Oh, level 5 Demon Hunter with the orb. Very good items actually for ThomasG. He has double orb, so he's 70 food with double orb. He cancels expansion though. I feel that was a mistake. He could easily defend with his army and his heroes. Like that level 5 Demon Hunters. It's nothing to play around with. It's a bit passive play, but he's still looking really good here. Believe's finding the last big spot here. Looking to get a good item, a bit more experience. He probably won't take a fight. Okay, he actually will take a fight if it happens here, because there's a nice bottleneck, and he's morphing destroyers. Ring of Regeneration, not the best item, but we do see double Scroll of Healing. And again, we do have the Ancient Django of Endurance. Meanwhile, 1-1 upgrades, almost 2-1 upgrades for ThomasG. 70 food against 70, more or less. A lot of mana destroyers and Roar Scroll being used. There's a lot of damage coming out here. Nice Death Cold, keep the destroyer alive. Bears are dropping very fast. There is a mana potion. Oh, there's a 7 mana burn, not the best. You might need to see a mana potion used here to keep units alive or to nuke aggressively. Oh, staff was trying to be. ThomasG tried to pass the staff, but there was no free slot on the panda, and the panda's. Oh, the panda used the healing potion just in time. What an intense fight there. I think Believe played that very well. That was looking very difficult, but well played by Believe. Also well played by ThomasG to get out, not lose the panda. Unfortunately, he didn't realize that he had a full inventory, so he couldn't pass the staff. He wanted to stay in that fight longer because Believe was running dry on resources. When you don't have any mana and no potions on your Death Knight, you just cannot win the fight any longer. So, if ThomasG could have passed the staff there and kept the fight going, I think he could have just ended the game there. Yeah, because if you look at the experience, like ThomasG didn't kill that much. Meanwhile, Believe killed quite a bit more. So, I believe during the fight, ThomasG was macroing better. So, even though the food count right now is looking as though that fight broke even, I would say that Believe is ahead. He killed more. He just didn't macro as well behind it. Just keep on creeping. First Abomination shows up. Pretty good to have that one Abomination for position to get a better position for a late game fight. But both heal scrolls, I think, were used, and he just bought one. So it's expensive for the Undead to keep taking these fights because realistically, you need like full mana on all your heroes, and you need heal scrolls. Whereas the Night Elf doesn't really need anything except for the Staff of Preservation. And immobility potions, obviously.
A player's forces are under attack.
So if it's one base against one base, and we keep having these small fights, the Night Elf will eventually come out ahead. Especially if we get to see ultimates come into play, then the Demon Hunter and Panda by far have much better ultimates than Death Knight, Lich, Naga. Better upgrades now for ThomasG as well. He has 2-1 compared to only 2-0, I believe. You see some Whisper here, trying to be annoying. I thought maybe that was an Acolyte to expand, but it's just a goal to check for potential expansions. Meanwhile, we see 3-0 coming for, I believe. He's making a lot of destroyers. He's going to focus on destroyers. There are enough Dryads to deal with him, and there's double orb, which is kind of expensive. I don't see that too much, but there's double orb. So there is a lot of potential to kill the destroyers. But definitely the late game, like high count destroyer with orb focus is very, very strong from Undead. It would be cool to see some kind of wagons added to deal with all the Dryads. But yeah, right now it's a very passive game. Destroyers are scouting for expansions. Dryads scouting the Undead. Nobody wants to be caught off guard by anything. ThomasG won't be planting any expansions though, because he knows the mains are running out, and he can just pick up his main and move to the expansion for free, which is a huge advantage for Night Elf in any one base against one base situations, no matter the matchup or the map. Being able to just move your main for free is amazing. Ooh, we see a Sacrificial Pit from Believe, so he's either gonna go for like one worm and all in, although it's gonna hit quite late. Otherwise, he might try to put up an expansion. But this is a very late Sacrificial Pit. Like he'll barely have enough gold to buy a Boneyard and get one worm. And that means he won't be able to buy a mana potion unless he starts to unsummon a lot of his buildings. But realistically, we will see an all-in here, but I believe he won't camp to expand. He will just go for the all-in push once the mains run out and take a fight just as the Tree of Eternity plants at the expansion. Whether it's this one or this one doesn't really matter. We could see an expansion, but again, the Undead has to invest into it, whereas the Night Elf doesn't, so it doesn't feel that great as Undead to, or as any race, to waste your last resources to put up an expansion when your opponent just gets one for free. But we do have 3-0 attack upgrades. The Sacrificial Pit may have just been used for one shade there, which is not a big investment. I think the Sacrificial Pit itself cost only 75 gold, and the shade only costs food, so it's not actually a big investment to get that scouting. And I think shades are underused in general. They're very, very good units. They're very easy to get. We should see them a lot more than we do. So this is well played by Believe to get that shade in there. This army is just so scary by ThomasG. He even has one healing scroll for good measure. I'd like to see a second staff selling one of these items and getting a staff would be optimal, but he is dry. 80 food out of 80. Tree of Eternity is walking over. 2-1 upgrades compared to 3-0, and yeah, here comes the all-in. All the acolytes have been pulled. Nothing has been unsummoned though. And he actually has 200 gold, so he did not buy a mana. Well, he did buy one mana potion. He could have bought a second one. But so far he's chosen not to spend his gold. He might be looking to pick up an invulnerability potion on one of his heroes with his remaining gold, or selling something and getting a last heal scroll. So right now he has 2. We do see nothing so far. Oh, I'm kind of stupid. He wants to use the 200 gold, obviously, to morph 2 of these statues. Sorry about that. It's quite obvious. So he wants to keep 2 statues for mana and health regeneration, and he wants to use his last remaining 200 gold to morph 2 destroyers and go for the all-in attack. He's going to use this shade to harass the tree to make sure it can't plant. And there is no dust for ThomasG, so this can go on indefinitely. But we do see the morph here. Very good positioning for Believe. Oh, is he going to go for the tree? That'd be a mistake. See, one Breath of Fire already used. But he's going straight for the bears. All of his mana stores, everything's just focusing one bear at a time with the orb. They're melting like butter. Meanwhile, we see a mana burn. And the Demon Hunter being focused, but there's no only bit of potion. More bears going down. We need to see some more skulls. We do see one skull used there. Oh, the Death Knight. The Demon Hunter gets staffed, but the tree is right here, so he's just getting staffed into his own grave. And has used Motivated Potion as well. I believe is far ahead in the resources right now as far as supply goes, but there are a lot of sticky dryads running around. Nice Breath of Fire, but the Panda could go down. There's a Coil, there's a Nova, he's down. Death Knight will get away. And because there's no way for ThomasG to now actually prevent the Shade from blocking, although maybe the Shade died from the Breath of Fire. But in theory, there's no way for ThomasG to win, so he GG's out. Very close game, but yeah, that's the problem for Night a lot of the time on a map like this. Like high-level undead nuke plus 80 food with orb. Sometimes it feels like this 80 food against 80 food doesn't really benefit the Night Elf as much as the undead. But Believe also played amazingly well. I think he had better control overall throughout the series. But the second game was a lot better from ThomasG. He really put up a good fight. Which is nice to see from such an old school player to come back and show such a good game against one of the best undeads around.